Hey friends, this is Siddharth. I'm from Mumbai and today we'll be talking about Django Machina. So Django Machina is this component that you can use to create forums. You might have already used Discuss or phpBB, so there is something similar to that. Let's say you have a small organization and you want to be sharing some ideas with your colleagues, be it some hackathon ideas or mobile application that you want to build. This is a perfect example of how communication can be done within the organization, right? So this is what we'll be building today, or rather setting up our application to come to this particular state. As you can see out over here, we have different forums. Within the forums, we have different bunch of topics that you can take a look at out over here for this tutorial. And we'll be using Visual Studio and probably Python 3 and virtual and env wrapper, right? So let's get started. So there is an accompanying presentation as well as a README file that has step-by-step instructions on how to go about setting up Django Machina. This is kind of related to what's there in the official documentation for Django Machina, which you can find on Read the Docs. I made a few minor modifications to make it working with my project. Yeah. The key idea over here is to have our dependencies right before we can actually start using this particular component. Okay, so let's get started. I'll fire up a terminal and increase the font size a little bit. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'll be activating the virtual env wrapper, and that can be done using source virtual switch. Okay, um, and the command that is used to create a virtual env is nk virtual env, and let's call it hello machina. As you can see, it is setting up our project using Python 3.6. What I'm going to be doing is I'll be storing my code in this particular directory called area 51. Within that, let's just go to Django directory, and now let's install our dependencies using pip. Alright, so let's look at the dependencies that we need. So we'll be using Django 1.11, and along with that, let's install these two other packages as well. Okay, so we are done. Now let's just go ahead and create a new project using Django admin. Let's call it hello machina live demo, right? So start project. All right, let's go into our newly created project, and to make sure everything is set up fine, right, let's just do a run server python manage.py run server. If you have got your setup right, this is the page that you would be looking at. Now let's look at the overall steps that we need to do in order to get Django Machina working. So after doing our dependencies or installing our dependencies, the sections that we would want to update in settings.py or page.py, depending on how you configure your project, is we want to update install apps, templates, middleware, static dirs, and cache section. Now some of these sections are not there in the settings file. That's absolutely fine. You can go ahead and create these sections in the setting file, and it will still work. I want to spend about a minute talking about Django Haystack and why is it useful and how is it related to this particular project. So Haystack is a Django component that gives an abstraction to all the indexers, right? So there are a few popular indexers in Django community in general. One of them is Whoosh, which is like a pure Python implementation. Solar and Elastic are other popular ones that is popular in Java communities, and they are built using Lucene at the core. So for our project, we'll be using Whoosh out of the box. As you might have already seen in our dependencies sections, we are already using Whoosh. So we'll now be making changes in settings.py file to make sure we have all the correct configuration for getting Django Machina working. Let's get started. So let's import this particular line, which basically imports all the applications that is required by Django Machina, and we need to install these three particular applications. So let's just do that. Make sure you have the right indentation, otherwise the code probably just won't work. Okay, now also let's import the right template configurations, and within directories we're going to include this particular variable, if you will, and we need to also update the context processor. And also this particular middleware. So what you might find is you might not have this particular section in your settings file. So let's just go down to the bottom and check real quick. Yeah, so you just have static URL, you don't really have like a static div section in there. So let's just go ahead and create it, but first let's just import this one line from Machina, include the, and you can also see there's no cache section in here as well, right? So you can just go ahead and create it. Same thing with the haystack configuration. In the official documentation they have a variable called project path, but out over here I just replaced that with base directory, which we already have in this particular settings file. Okay, I believe now we have done adding all the settings file. Now let's just go ahead and apply migration and see if it works. Migrate. Yep, it seems to be working fine. Also, what we want to ensure at this point in time is we have a super user. Otherwise, we won't be able to create the necessary forums and topics that might be needed. So let's just go ahead and manage.py, create super user. All right. Now, what we haven't done at this point in time is we haven't updated the urls.py file. What I'm just going to do right now is make sure I'm able to log in to the admin section. Yep. So as you can see, we have all the necessary tables out over here. Now let's just do the last settings, and I think we should be able to access the forums like what we initially showed in the video. All right. So here we go. All right. So now I'm going to open up the urls.py file. Include and right. I think it has loaded. Host 8000 and we'll call it forum. So there you have it. We do have a successful installation for Django Machina at this point in time. Let's just go ahead and add a couple of forums, and I also need to show you a few settings that you need to get right for the rendering. Okay, so now let's just log into the admins section. The first thing you want to do is create forums. Generally, you can do it based on a high level category. And you want to keep default forum for now, right? So on right, do a save, and let's say also I want to have a forum for say mobile app ideas, right? So I can do that out over here. Right, cool. Okay, so once you're done creating forums, what you also want to ensure is you have the global forums permissions, right? Otherwise, probably you won't be able to see forums. So click on the button out over here, global forum permissions, and let's just go ahead and give anonymous access. And for now I'm just going to say can read, can see forum, and probably can reply to, and start a new topic. Again, you can customize this as per your settings, but for now, just for testing sake, let's just go ahead and do this, and let's see if it works. Yeah, so as you can see, you need to have the forum pattern, the URL. There you go. Okay, so now we just created like a couple of forums, hackathon ideas and mobile app ideas. Let's just go ahead and also create like a couple of test topics. So the way you can do it is just go to home, click topics, click add, select the forum you want. Let's just call it test topic. And I'm just going to copy this because you just need to duplicate it a couple of times, right? Test topic 1. Make sure it's unlocked and then just save out over here. Let's just check real quick if it has actually showed up. Yep. So as you can see, we are now able to create topics and create a whole bunch of you can probably also do like a reply thing out over here. So yeah, I think we are in business. This kind of works. Great, so I think we're done with our tutorial. Do let me know your feedback and comments, and if you like the video, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.